Hey, everybody in YouTube land. This is Ann Tucker, and today I'm talking with Parent Pathfinder, Meredith Gross, and our theme for the month is breakthroughs. So today Meredith is going to share with us a breakthrough she had that taught her a lot about herself, and her children were her teachers in that scenario. How are you, Meredith?
Good morning, Anne. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So let's get to business. Tell us about, give us a little background and tell us about your breakthrough.
Great. And I'm glad to say I've had a lot along the way, but when I look back at one of the important shifts I had, it related to my own emotional authenticity and how that related to my son Sam and his emotionalism. He was a little guy who would, rage really easily, cry really easily. He'd be sad for no reason as he said it. He would be angry and very destructive. And sometimes, we were afraid of him. And he also had a lot of fears and anxieties. So that was kind of Sam as a little guy. And I guess what's interesting, too, that I love is the story that really got the ball rolling for me on emotional authenticity actually relates to my daughter. And it shows how siblings are related and the whole family unit works together.
Right.
So there was a day where I was taking Maddie and Sam to karate class. It was before I gave up on the whole I must keep them physically active. And we're walking across the parking lot to go to karate. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Sam just starts bawling his eyes out. And I'd say he was about 7 at the time, and my daughter Maddie was 9. And so I get him out of traffic, and I'm talking to him, and he even said, "Are you ever sad for no reason, Mom?" And I wasn't, so I didn't know how to relate to that. But I'm trying to soothe him and comfort him and just get us in the door for class. So I, reassure him, love on him, patch him up. He's kind of together. And we walk through the door, and my daughter says something really nasty to him, or calls him a name, or says he's a crybaby or a loser, something that totally unhinges him once again. So I'm back at dealing with him, and I looked up at her, and I was like, "I hate you." And it was one of those moments where I was like, "Did I just say that?" And I could tell by her face that I had. And I quickly was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just hate what you said, and that's not nice, and it's your behavior. It's not you." But, I had locked eyes with her at that moment, and it was true for how I was feeling. And
Right.
I think she felt it, and it really rocked me and upset me that I would look my daughter straight in the eyes and tell her I hated her. So after getting through karate class, I spent some time journaling and trying to figure out a little bit more about what was behind that. And it was time well spent. And I would say that whenever somebody's having a difficult moment, there's really a breakthrough opportunity there if you can kind of spend time with yourself or a good friend or a coach or a therapist, bouncing it off to really get the wisdom of it. But for me, what I gained out of that experience was an awareness that I had an expectation of my daughter, that she be the peacemaker and the caretaker and the sweetness and light that I worked so hard to be when I was a little girl. And I came from a raucous family, a single parent, 5 kids. I was the only girl. And I was the peacemaker. I was the one who tried to make nice, tried to keep things clean and organized and peaceful and calm in the house. And I realized that I was putting that on Maddie, that, here we had enough uproar with Sam and it was creating enough chaos in our lives that I wanted her to step into the role that I had done as a girl myself. And so it was
Absolutely.
It was awful. And I also, so I realized the unfairness of that. And I also realized how many times as a little girl I was really angry and I didn't feel I had a safe connection in my house to express it. It felt like we were already on the edge, and that if I were to kind of lose it in that way like everyone else was, that there would just be no safety. So I could even honor Maddie's ability to be angry with me and see that as a strength in our relationship, that she's able to express anger as much as she did. So that was the beginning of me realizing that I had not been emotionally authentic as a child, and I had learned that as a protective safety mechanism. And I was, kind of putting that on my daughter. And it really shifted the dynamic between us just when I had that awareness. And that alone was a wonderful easing, I would say, of the energy in the house. But I was also surprised to see how it started impacting Sam, that I became more emotionally authentic, and I would express when I'm tired or express when I was angry or frustrated or upset or sad. And it really let him not be the one to express all the emotion in our house, if you will. And so over time, he really, I attribute his kind of calm, more even emotional state to the fact that, my husband and I and my daughter are all a lot more authentic with the way we express emotion.
You know what I really loved? I love the whole story because you've shared it with me before, but I love that Sam, it was almost like we all do the opposite of what is intuitively right. So you and your husband are trying to keep it together and be calm and peaceful and have a mean smile on our face and everything's okay because you don't want to stress your son out. But really, all that suppression of emotion is what's stressing him out and making him, scream and cry and express it for you. So when you told me the story the first time about Sam saying to you, Mom, you have a mean smile, it's like he knew anyway. He knew anyway. Do you know what I mean? And so you just now are free to be who you are and be angry when you're angry, and lessens his load. I love your story.
Yeah, that's so true. And it was funny because the mean smile, there was a time when I was trying to get him to do something, and I was really frustrated, but I was trying to, I thought I was like gently, edging him in a certain way, and I was really mad, though, was what I was authentically feeling. And he was like, that's a mean smile, Mom. I want to see your real smile.
Right.
So it's true. No. They did. They know what we're feeling anyway. It's almost like if they know what
they
we're
know
feeling.
what we're feeling.
Yeah,
I also want to take it a step further to when back in my 20s when I taught school, and some of the kids would stress me out so badly, and I didn't want to be a bad teacher. So I would try so hard not to show my frustration or anger at whatever kid's behavior was, and it just got worse. And I wish I'd known, now as a mom I can use it, but I wish I'd known 15 years ago, because kids knew my mean smile when I was teaching school. They could tell I was frustrated and angry too. So your story really has helped me.
That's a great point. And another thing I realized, to be so angry with my daughter that I just say I hate you is not an elegant way of expressing my feelings. And so I've also learned that when somebody's really kind of outlandish like that, and when I was really extreme like that, it was because I didn't give myself any release valve. I didn't, as it was ramping up, because there's always a ramp up. I could have said, I'm much better at being in tune with how I'm feeling when it's smaller, and I'll say, you guys are annoying the hell out of me, and I need a little peace and quiet. I'll see you later. Where before I would have, soldiered on, and it's okay, and then I would have just had a big,
And you know what happens when you soldier on, and I've done this too, we've all done it. I always call it Hurricane Anne brewing. Like, I can feel Hurricane Anne brewing. You don't have it hurricane overnight, right? Like, they can predict a hurricane a week before. So it's like I feel my hurricane when it's just like a tropical storm over Florida before it hits land and is like Hurricane Anne level 7, pushing trees over. And so, it's kind of like you know when Hurricane Meredith is brewing, and you can kind of nip it in the bud before it gets to be destructive. And that's what you're saying.
Yes, I love that. Hurricane Anne. Now I'll be like, Hurricane Meredith is offshore.
Oh, and Hurricane Anne is ugly. Watch out, people. I'm serious. I like Tropical Storm Anne much better. Meredith, you've been a doll. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for
Anne.
chatting with me today. I love your breakthrough. You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.